Hi, I'm Catherine Justice, and I'm an integrative physical therapist and a yoga therapist, and I'm here to bring you today a little under an hour-long practice for people who are on a cancer journey. So you can be anywhere on that journey, and also caregivers of people who are on a cancer journey are also welcome to join in this practice. It's very gentle yoga-based practice. And it's very customizable. So I would encourage you to modify in whatever way feels natural for your body. You might decide that this whole practice feels better if you do it sitting in a chair. And kind of throughout, I'll hop in and out of the chair to show you some of those different ways that you could do it in the chair. You could do it in bed if you don't feel comfortable getting all the way down on the floor. You can lie in bed and do it. That's another great way to practice. It might be helpful to have some blankets handy. Blankets can be used to kind of prop you up to go under your body. You can see I'm kind of sitting on a folded blanket now. That's more comfortable for me than sitting right on the floor. And you can also bring the blankets over on top of you if you get cold or want that kind of comfort of a blanket. So feel free to grab some blankets, pillows, anything that will help you be more comfortable in your practice. And know too, because this is a video, it's okay to pause it. So if you need to grab something throughout, you need to use the bathroom or grab some water, feel free to pause and come back. The most important thing is that you let your body be the leader of your practice. And you can think of me like a menu. Like I'm gonna offer up some options and you get to be the diner. So you get to decide which of those options work for you. So let's begin. So you can start out sitting in a chair, or if you'd like, you can come to lie, like I said, on a bed or the floor onto your back. And as you come to lie down, some people want something under their heads for comfort. Some people prefer nothing at all. So you can choose for yourself what's going to help you be more comfortable. So sitting in a chair or lying on your back. If you'd like, you could have your feet on the ground with your knees bent. This might help your back to feel more comfortable. But if there's another position, you can explore that too. Your eyes can be open or closed, and you could let your arms rest at your sides. Or if you'd like, I'll invite you to take one hand to your belly and one hand to your chest, one hand to your heart. And just from here, allowing your awareness to gently draw itself inside of your body, just noticing whatever you're experiencing in your body right here, right now. One thing you might be noticing is just the physical sensation of the floor or the chair underneath your body. If you'd like, you could really explore that sensation, just noticing where are you contacting the earth. Perhaps there's a sense of softening or melting into that contact. Another thing you might notice as you tune inward is your breath moving in and out of your body. You may feel that as you inhale, there's a sense of expanding or opening. As you exhale, there's a softening that's occurring. And as you tune into the breath, you might notice too that there's a rhythm to the breath, that flow from inhale to exhale creates a little rhythm inside our bodies. And you could stay in this space of open awareness, just noticing the rhythm of the breath. Or if you'd like, you could see what it might feel like. Just slow the breath down a little, particularly slowing down your exhales. So letting your exhale just take a little longer than your inhale. Perhaps also noticing how your body moves as you breathe. You might feel some movement happening at the chest, some movement in the belly. The hands on your body might be helpful to sense this. And if you'd like, you could invite your breath to drop just a little lower, a little deeper in towards the belly, so that as you breathe in, you might feel your belly rise or expand. As you breathe out, you might feel your belly soften. I like to call this low, slow breathing. So we're breathing low into the body, into the belly. We're slowing the breath down. And this practice of low, slow breathing helps our body enter into its relaxation mode. And when we're in relaxation mode, all of the natural healing properties of our body are maximized. When we're in fight or flight or a stress mode, kind of healing gets put on pause in our body a little bit. But when we're in, they call it rest and digest, in that relaxation mode, our body is able to heal itself a little more effectively and just usually feels better too. So low, slow breathing. And feel free to stay with this as long as you want. If you would like to explore bringing a little bit of movement into your body, if your eyes are closed, you might want to open them. And we're going to start with some gentle movements with the theory, the idea that we're going to kind of open up for the better flow of lymph, which again is part of our immune system, part of our immune response of getting just good lymph flow throughout the body. So we're going to start with the shoulders. And I call this one sometimes chicken wings, because you're going to bring your hands to your shoulders, just like chicken wings. And again, you can do this in sitting or on your back, and just starting to gently circle the arms around. The circles can be as big or as small as you want to make them. You might find yourself naturally linking the breath with this movement. So as you breathe in, as your arms open, you might breathe out as the elbows come back in. Perhaps softening any tension that you've got in the jaw, the face, the forehead. You can stay with this, or you could reverse the direction of the circles. Perhaps still inhaling as the elbows move away from each other, exhaling as they come back in. And then if you'd like, you could move down the chain to the elbows. And there's lots of ways to do this movement. One way would be to reach your arms straight in front of you or up towards the ceiling, and then exhale as they come back down. So this is one way to do the movement. If your arms would feel more comfortable, though, resting on the floor, you could do it with the arms on the floor, just gently straightening and bending here. Just gentle movements. Again, you can make them small, just little range of motion, or bigger. Maybe we inhale as we open through the arms. Maybe we exhale as they draw back in. And then we're going to keep moving down the chain of the arms into the wrists, just finding some gentle wrist circles. And again, you can do this with your arms reaching straight in front of you or up towards the sky, or you can rest your elbows on the ground and take it from here. If you hear little like clicking sounds or things like that, if it's not painful, it's not that worrisome. If there's a little bit of noise, you can reverse direction if you want. But if it is like a little painful or uncomfortable with that clicking, just make the circles smaller, see if that helps. And if that doesn't help, then you can just skip ahead. You can fast forward me and go to the next practice. From here, whatever position you're in, I'll invite you to just let your arms wrap around you like you're giving yourself a hug. And maybe noticing just what that space between the shoulder blades feels like, the outer shoulders. Sometimes we can hold a lot of stress into the upper back there. And you can stay with stillness with this, or you could just gently rock your head side to side just a little bit. And again, you can do this in seated too. Maybe even getting this sense of feeling of giving yourself a hug, that idea of giving a little bit of care to whatever it is you're experiencing. You can stay this way, or if you'd like, notice which arm is on top and then switch. Maybe noticing in the subtle way that that changes the sensation of the shoulders, the back. And then when you feel ready, you can let your arms rest down at your sides, and we're going to do a similar sequence now, moving down the legs. So starting at the hips, and again, you can do this sitting in a chair or on your back. If you'd like, I'll invite you to take your feet maybe a little wider than your hips. And we call this windshield wipers. So for windshield wipers, we're just going to let our knees just gently rock side to side. And it's nice to let the breath kind of lead and the body follow. So you might think of exhaling as you go to one side, inhaling as you go to the other, or another option would be to exhale as your knees drop down and then inhale as they come back up. And this could be really big windshield wipers with the knees really rocking side to side, or it could be quite small with just an inch or two to each side. You can decide for yourself what feels good in your body. And if as you're doing these windshield wipers, you get this feeling of like, ooh, something really nice is happening, I want to pause and just let my knees drop to one side and just feel this twist. That's okay too. You can pause it for a breath or two. And you might naturally feel like your head and neck want to join into this movement. And if that's the case, you can go with it and just let your head gently turn from side to side. You could look in the same direction as the knees or the opposite. And then when you want, I'll invite you to take your right knee and just gently hug it up towards your chest. I'll show you how to do this in the chair in a second. But if you're on the floor, you could hug it here and keep that other leg bent with the foot flat, or another option is to straighten the leg. And then from there, you could take little gentle hip circles around. And if you are in the chair, one way to do this practice would be to just gently draw your knee up and circle from here. If that's not comfortable, another way you can do it is by bringing your body towards the knee, and then it's like another little windshield wiper. It might not fully circle, but you can just take it side to side and just let your body come a little closer to the leg this way. So it can be up, or it could be down, or you can stay on the ground. And then as you feel ready, we're going to get a little of that bending and straightening now through the knee. So we could inhale to reach through the leg any amount, and then exhale, hugging the knee back in. Kind of similar to what we did at the elbows, how we were just bending and straightening. You can think inhale to reach and open, exhale to bend. And if you're in the chair, a nice way to do this is to just kind of slide your leg. So you can just slide it forward as you breathe in, slide it back as you breathe out. The foot doesn't have to lift up off the ground, but it certainly can if you want. You can lift it up. You can stay with that practice. And then when you feel ready, if you'd like, we can go all the way to the ankle. And if you're in the chair, you just take some gentle ankle circles in whatever position is comfortable. If you're on your back, it's okay to have some bend in your knee, especially if you feel like you've got kind of tighter hamstrings. Keep the knee nice and bent. It doesn't have to straighten at all. Just gently circling the ankle around. And you can stay with this circling. If you get any kind of pain that's shooting down the leg, it's usually an indication that you need to bend your knee a little bit more. Or even just fast forward and move on to the next practice if this one isn't working for you. You can switch directions if you haven't yet with the ankle. And you can stay with just these rotations, or if you'd like, you could draw your toes back as if you were going to reach your heel away from you. And you might notice a little more intensity to that sensation behind the leg. Just making sure it's comfortable sensation, that you're not hurting yourself. That's kind of the core principle of yoga is what they call ahimsa, which means non-harming. We're not going to hurt ourselves. We're going to make this commitment to be gentle, to be kind, and to care for ourselves. And then when it feels like a good time to explore the other side, we can do the same thing on the other side. So the left knee could come up towards the chest. Your right foot could stay on the floor, or it can straighten if that's more comfortable. Sometimes I call this stirring the hip. We can just gently stir the hip around. And again, if you're doing this in the chair, that's where you could bring your knee up towards your chest or just lean forward and keep your foot on the ground and just take some of those windshield wiper side to side swishing. And you can switch direction if you haven't already. And again, the size of these hip circles can be big or small. When it feels like a good time to move on to the knee, you could inhale to straighten any amount, exhale to bend. Maybe feeling a little of that circulation kind of flowing through the leg. You can stay with this if you want, or you can take hold behind the leg, or if you're in the chair, you just slide the leg forward a little bit and take some ankle circles, like you're drawing circles with your big toe. Maybe still focusing on that low, slow belly breathing. You can switch direction if you haven't yet. If you'd like to feel kind of what that static stretch might feel like, you could draw your toes back, reach through your heel. Again, if there's pain going down the back of the leg, maybe you stay with the ankle circles, or maybe you bend your knee a little bit more. Kind of approaching this practice with curiosity around your body's experience, just noticing kind of what's it experiencing, and are there ways that you could just tweak or modify it a little bit to make it more comfortable, more therapeutic in your body. And then when you'd like, you can bring the leg down. And if you're on the ground or your bed, you could take your knees to your chest, just gently rock side to side. If you're in the chair, you could choose to lean back in the chair or lean forward in the chair. And then from here, I'll invite you to roll either over onto your belly or stay seated in the chair. So if you're coming onto your belly, you can gently roll over, and we can start by making just like a little pillow with our hands for our forehead, so we don't have to smush our face into the floor. So coming into this position here, if you're in the chair, you just find a comfortable position to sit in to start with. And let's just tune back into our breath. So feeling in this position, if you're on your belly, you might feel the breath change a little. It might be a little less in the belly, and you might now feel your breath a little more into your back. And if you're in the chair, just see if you can sense that. Can you feel your breath into your back, expanding as you breathe in and softening as you breathe out? And then from here, if you'd like, you could bring your hands right in front of your shoulders. The fingers could spread, and maybe even feel your shoulders rolling down your back away from your ears. And if you're in the chair, this basically looks like this. Just bringing your hands in front of the shoulders rolling back. You might feel a little broadening or opening at the chest with this position. We call this a cobra pose. If you're on the floor, maybe you point your toes and get this feeling of reaching long through your legs. Maybe there's a little tuck of the chin and also a reach through the crown of the head, like we're trying to grow longer. You can add a little sway side to side if that feels good, that kind of hypnotic cobra movement. Notice if tension is coming into the face, see if you can soften the face. And then when you're ready to take a break, if you're sitting, just relax your hands. If you're on your belly, you can make that little pillow for your forehead and release down. Maybe from here you rock your hips side to side. You could see what that would feel like in your back. If you're in the chair, you could just sway your whole body side to side a little. If you're in the chair, go ahead and stay with that practice with cobra arms. If you're on your belly, you could see what another option would be to practice what we call a locust pose. So for locust, we're going to bring our arms down at our sides. Thumbs would face down, pinkies face towards the sky, and the palms of the hands face in towards the body. From here, we're going to reach long through our toes, through the crown of the head, and through our fingers. So it's like we're trying to reach the body long. You might feel the back of your body starting to engage and work. This is a really powerful posture to help reduce or prevent osteopenia or osteoporosis. When we reach long through the body like this, all of those muscles that attach along the spine are giving input to the bones of the spine to strengthen. Finding your breath so you're not holding your breath. Taking a break when you need to. And when it's time to take a break, you make that pillow for your forehead and you can sway your hips side to side again. And then as you're ready, we'll take one more round. So again, you could stay with the cobra hands or locust arms. Reaching long through the body, finding your breath. Maybe you feel your shoulders kind of roll down the back, away from the ears, that broadening or opening across your heart. Feeling your strength growing in your body. Just noticing what that feels like to feel strong. And then as you're ready, soften and let it go. If you're in the chair, you can just stay with a nice soft belly breathing practice. If you're on your belly, we're going to slowly transition up to hands and knees. So to get there, we're going to first come up onto our elbows. And you can even take a little pause here if you'd like, and just feel a little side to side sway. If this is too intense on your back, you might be more comfortable if your hands were a little more forward. And then from here, you can lift through your hips and kind of walk your knees up towards your elbows. And we come into this sort of elbows and knees position. And you can actually stay right here. Or if you'd like, you could come up onto your hands and knees. Not everyone's wrists appreciate this position though. So if your wrists prefer being on your forearms, feel free to stay low. And again, feel free to stay in the chair. And from here, from the hands and knees, we can exhale, let our backs round any amount. Maybe the head drops down. And then we can inhale to feel a gentle sway back, a gentle arch. Exhaling as you round. Inhaling to arch. And if you're in the chair, this can look like exhaling, letting your back round any amount. Inhaling, lifting and opening. The movement can be big or small. Especially if you're seated, you could choose to do this movement with just your pelvis, just rocking back with little movements, or even just your eyes, exhaling as you look down, inhaling as you look forward or slightly up. And this would be a nice place to pause the video. If you're really enjoying this movement, you could stay with it longer. Or if you'd like, you could take your knees comfortably apart, allow your hips to drop back towards your heels. They may or may not touch, it really doesn't matter. You just let them drop back as far as they comfortably can go. And then from here, you could, if you wanted, you could stack one fist on top of the other and just rest your head on your fists. Or some people prefer flat palms. Some people even prefer just letting their head come all the way to the floor. If you're in the chair, you just let your body come forward any amount. So you would just let your body rest forward. And again, you could rest on your hands, or you could come all the way down. We call this child's pose. And it's okay to add a little sway or a little movement. If you'd like, you could see what it might feel like from this position to walk your hands over to the right, a couple of handprints, and then maybe your hips pull to the left a little bit. Noticing perhaps an opening happening down that left side of the body. If you're in the chair, you can take your left arm, lift it up and over as you lean to the right. Again, just noticing what kind of sensation you're feeling along the side of the body. Then when it feels like a good time to explore the other side, you just take your arms the other direction. Maybe the hips shift. You might feel your breath helping to kind of open through the rib cage on that right side. As you breathe in, the ribs might expand and open. As you breathe out, they might soften. And then when you feel ready, coming back to center, back to that child's pose. When you feel ready, if you would like to, you could come all the way up to stand. So to get there, you might decide to come back to hands and knees, and then maybe you take 1 foot forward. Here's where if you have a chair handy, you can always have your hands on the seat of the chair to kind of help come forward and come up to stand, or if there's another way that you prefer to get up to stand, find your own way up. Just know that once you come up to stand, we've been on the ground for a while, you might feel a little dizzy or lightheaded. So have a chair handy if you need to sit, pause the video and come back when you feel balanced and strong and not seeing stars. That would be great. As you find your way to stand, or you can stay seated in the chair, works fine too. Once again, just noticing the ground under you. So if you're in the chair, noticing the chair under your legs. If you're standing, noticing the ground under your feet. Now you may or may not be able to feel your feet on the ground, and that's okay. You could just imagine what it would be like as if you could feel your feet. If you've got some numbness in your feet, you might not have that physical sensation, but the more we imagine it, the more those nerves are kind of regrowing that pathway, the more healing is happening, and we can get closer to getting some of that sensation back potentially. If you would like to, again, you might want something, a sturdy piece of furniture if your balance is a little shaky, to be near you, or even have your hands on the back of a chair. But you can start to sway your body a little bit forward and back to just feel your balance shifting from the front of the feet to the back of the feet. Maybe you inhale as you come forward, exhale as you rock back. You can do the same thing side to side. Little motions in the ankles, these muscles in our ankles that help us do this side-to-side rocking are really helpful for helping us not fall if we slip. It's those ankle muscles that help to keep us up. And then from here, if you'd like, you can explore what it might feel like to have your legs in the chair or your feet on the floor a little more even. So equal weight from the fronts of the feet to the back, insides to the outsides. And I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart if that feels good. And from here, we're going to circle the arms a few times. And if you'd like, you could add some meaning to this movement. And you can do the no movement at all and just use your breath and think about the meaning. Or you could just move your arms and not worry about anything that it means. But if you would like, you can think about something kind that you would like to offer up to the world around you and to yourself. Feel free to add that to the movement. So you could think of sending out kindness, love, compassion, peace, gratitude. There's a whole list of things that you could think of wishing for the world and for yourself. So feel free to pick 1 or 2 or 3. And as we inhale, we can circle our arms and perhaps send that wish outward. And as you exhale, the hands can come back down to the heart, drawing that same wish inside our own bodies. Finding your own rhythm, your own pace for this movement. And your own size for the movement too. If you want, this circle could be really small, just in front of the heart, sending it out and bringing it back in. Or you could think of it being really big or anywhere in between. And feel free to stay with this as long as you'd like. From here, if you are standing, you could explore, we call this a warrior pose. So you could take 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. We'll do both sides, so it doesn't matter which one you start with. And for this version of a warrior pose, you want to have a little bit of distance between the feet. If the feet are kind of on a tightrope, it might not be as stable, and it might feel a little like kind of weird and tight in the hips. So having like, as if your feet, like, they're not going to be straight forward like railroad tracks, but you can think of that distance of railroad tracks and finding really the distance that makes you feel like a warrior. So that's what you want to feel is strong in your legs and in your body. If our legs are too far apart, we might not feel strong. If our legs are too close together, we might not feel strong. So for you, find where is your strong point? Where's your warrior? Finding that distance. From here, you could keep your hands at your heart or your hips. And this is where I'll show you how you can do this in the chair. If you're doing it in the chair, you don't have to worry about the legs. You can just do the arm portion of this movement. And the arm portion would be maybe we inhale and the arms open outward and exhale as they come back in. And you can even add more to the legs. Maybe you inhale, that front leg straightens. Exhaling, the hands come back together, the knee bends again. And if you're standing, you could even just do the knee if you prefer. You could inhale, just a little straightening, exhale, a little bending. Again, just exploring in your body what's the best way to explore and get curious about this movement to make it maximum healing benefit for you. You can stay with this movement as long as you want. When it feels like a good time to switch sides, you can just step the other foot forward. Your warrior might feel a little different from one side to the other, and that's okay. So you can just experiment and judge. Where do you want your feet? Where do you feel strong? Where can you find your warrior? And then from here, you can hold or you can find movement. Again, the movement can be arms only, it can be leg only, or it can be a combo of both. Maybe thinking, can you get the breath to really move with your body? Inhaling as things open, exhaling as they soften. You can still think of this if you would like to add that meaning to the movement. You could think of every inhale again as a shining or an opening, a wish outward for goodness, for kindness. As you exhale, it's like everything that you've wished for others draws back into your own body. And then as you feel ready, you can come back to neutral. And then from here, we can take one more version of a warrior pose. And this one is a little more of a tightrope. So now, like a balance beam, you want one foot kind of right in front of the other one, and you'll feel your hips are naturally going to open a little bit more with this position. Your front knee can bend until you can just see your big toe to the inside of the knee, and then you know your knee is probably in a nice strong position. And again, just kind of getting to know your own warrior. So too close probably won't feel strong. Too far away is probably not going to feel strong. So finding for you, where does that sit? And then again, you can have hands on hips or at the heart and just hold here, Or if you'd like to add movement, and again, this is where if you're in the chair, I'll show you actually, this one you can do the legs a little bit in the chair even too. You could always, optional, to reach through the arms, and then you could inhale, maybe the back arm drops down, maybe that front knee straightens a little, and exhaling, coming back. So you can find kind of your own version, your own rhythm for this. If you were doing this in a chair, this one kind of works. You can scoot to the edge of the chair and take 1 foot forward and 1 foot out. And then from here, you've got your nice strong warrior. And you could still inhale to reach and open, exhale to come back. If the arms don't like doing this, sometimes that shoulder doesn't appreciate this movement, you could even have the hands on the heart and just do it as a lean, just leaning to one side. And then when it feels like a good time to explore the other side, this one works well with just pivoting the feet, or you can step them. You can pivot or step to the other side. And again, just notice your warrior from one side to the other might be different. That's okay. You can maybe look down, see, can you see your big toe inside the knee? Then you know your knee is in a good, strong spot. And then from here, adding whatever movement makes sense for you, knowing that it might be different from one side to the other. Our bodies aren't really symmetrical. You know, we kind of pretend like they are, but we only have one liver, we only have one stomach. We're not symmetrical on our inside, so it's not realistic to expect us to be symmetrical on our outsides. So it's okay if it feels different from one side to the other. And in fact, if you notice that it does, that's good, because that means you're kind of very sensitive and able to sense and feel how your body is different from one side to the other, because it is. And again, you can stay with the practice standing. You can find the chair version. And then when it feels like a good time to come back to, we call it mountain, back to our neutral standing, you can come back to stand. If you want, you can give your body just a gentle little shake, releasing any tension that's come into it. Or if it's comfortable for you, you can even just bounce on your heels a little bit, lifting and dropping, which is also really good for just stimulating bone growth through the body. It can be very gentle. And you can even do this in sitting with just little heel drops, just lifting the heels, letting them drop. And then as you're ready, we can all find our way down to a seated position. So this might be sitting in a chair or sitting on the floor. It can be either one. Just safely, comfortably coming back down. And whether you're in the chair, on the floor, feel free. Again, I've got this blanket helping to support my hips. Not everyone feels good sitting cross-legged. If this isn't right for you, you want to be on the ground or on your bed, you can do like a nice wide V-sit or any other seated position that works for your body. And then from here, we can just explore a really gentle twist. So we're going to allow our body to turn to the right. So I'll turn to my left so that you can mirror me. But you just turn to the right any amount. And you might notice as you turn to the right that somewhere inside your body, you're going to hit some resistance. Somewhere in you, you're going to get like a little speed bump or a barrier. And rather than trying to like pull and force your way through that barrier, another option would be to notice where it is and then see, can you allow for a little bit of breath to come into that barrier? So for me, I'm kind of feeling it mid-back, kind of between my shoulder blades. So I would think as I breathe in, allowing that space in my spine and my back to open a little. As I breathe out, allowing it to soften. It's almost like our breath is trying to like massage through those tight spots rather than just trying to force our way through them. You can also imagine as if there's a little bit of length, like your spine is made of helium, you've got a puppeteer string coming out of the crown of the head, helping you find a little more space and length for your twist. And then as you're ready, you can come back. If you're sitting cross-legged and you want to explore the other cross of the legs, that's fine. And we'll just find a gentle twist the other direction. And again, noticing where's that barrier for you, because it's probably somewhere slightly different than it was on the other side. Like I said, for me, to going to the one side was like between the shoulder blades. This feels more like in my lower rib cage where I'm hitting the barrier here. So again, when you find the barrier, maybe you bring your breath to it. Inhaling and opening, exhaling and softening. Finding your puppeteer string, feeling that space be created inside the body. Maybe softening any tension in the shoulders, the face, the jaw. Finding that low, slow belly breath. And gently unwinding. From here, we can just do a little gentle rocking side to side. If you'd like, you can stay with this practice. Rocking is really soothing, really calming to our nervous system. So it could just be a gentle rock, or if you'd like, you can kind of let your arms become part of the rocking from one side to the other. Maybe you're inhaling as you rise up, exhaling as you come down. If you find a sweet spot and you're like, "Ooh, this feels nice," and you just want to stay there, you can stay in the stretch. And again, you could do this rocking without the arms. You could just lean. If you'd like, you could explore that stillness on the other side. As you're ready, coming back up. And then from here, again, you can stay in the chair, or if you'd like, you can come back onto your back. Again, any support that you want under your head, under or over your body, feel free to set yourself up to be comfortable. So pillow or a folded blanket under your head would be great. So you might want a pillow or folded blanket or rolled up blanket handy for under your knees eventually. So you could have that ready for you. And as you come onto your back from here, once again, just taking a moment to check in with what's going on inside of your body, right here, right now, in the chair, in the bed, on the floor, wherever you're at. Noticing once again, how are you contacting the earth? Is there an opportunity that you've got to soften and sink into that contact? What is the breath doing in your body now? Is it possible to find that low, slow belly breath? And then from here, if you'd like, you could step your feet up, and if you're in the chair, I'd say go back to that cobra position with the arms. That's a nice way to practice this in seated. If you are on the floor, on your bed, you can bring your arms at your sides, step your feet up so they're kind of right under your knees or as close as you can get to that. And we're going to either gently just do some gentle pelvic tilts, which you can do in the chair too, with your hands in that cobra position, just rocking the pelvis forward and back. Or if you'd like, you could even lift your hips a little bit as you inhale and lower them back down as you exhale. Doesn't have to be a big movement, but you might feel your spine just gently crawling up and then gently rolling back down. You might feel a gentle opening across the front of the body as you lift, a softening as you lower. And then if you'd like, maybe you cross one ankle over the other knee. And from here, you can just gently rock side to side if that feels good. If you want a little bit more intensity, you maybe could see what it would feel like to reach through the gap in the legs, take hold of the opposite thigh, and then rock forward and back. Again, noticing what you're feeling in through the hip. If you're in the chair, this one works great in the chair. You can cross one leg over the other and just gently rock, or you can even lean forward a little. Again, just making sure that your knee is comfortable. If you're feeling strain or stretch in your knee, it's a good indication to just ease off. Remembering ahimsa. We're not doing this to hurt ourselves. We're doing this to help ourselves. And then when you'd like, you could explore maybe what the other side might feel like, crossing ankle over knee, rocking side to side if you want, perhaps reaching through the gap if you'd like. Noticing again what sensations are present in the hip. Sometimes this stretch can be intense, but still really enjoyable. So it's okay to make it intense if it feels enjoyable, if it feels helpful for your body. But if it feels like it's creating more tension than it's relieving, then let it go. Ease off, find your way to something else. And then when it feels like a good time to release this from here, I'm going to invite you to find whatever position you would like to find rest in. So this could be sitting back in the chair. It could be continuing to lie on the ground with your feet flat. Another option, if you've got a blanket or a pillow handy, is to tuck it under your knees so that you have a little support under the knees as you lie back. So this is another option. And a final option would be if you have a chair handy and you are comfortable getting up and down from the floor, you could do a practice that we call legs up the chair, where basically you can do this with a couch, a bed, a chair, whatever you've got. Ottomans work great sometimes, but you lie on the ground and you let your legs rest on the seat of a chair. This is often very restful, very relaxing for the body. But if it's not for you, feel free to find your own way to a position of relaxation. Eyes can be open or they can be closed. Arms can be down or they can be resting on your chest or your belly. Once again, checking in with how you're contacting the earth. And perhaps as you explore where that contact is happening between your body and the chair or your body and the floor, on the next exhale, allowing for a softening to occur, a melting. Once again, tuning into the rhythm of your breath. Perhaps just allowing the breath to move at its own rhythm, its own pace. Inviting the breath to drop a little slower, a little lower. And as you rest, if you notice your mind starting to wander to thoughts of the past or the future, to your worry list or your to-do list, that's natural and normal. It's what our minds do. They wander. But if you'd like, you could just compassionately just gently guide your mind back to the present moment through either the movement of the breath or through the feeling of the ground underneath you. And this is really at the heart of a mindfulness practice. It's this idea of having the intention to stay in the present moment, but letting go of judgment. So when our mind runs away, when we release out of the present moment, we're not going to beat ourselves up. It's just noticing that the mind ran away and gently guiding it back to the present. As you breathe here, another option would be to recall again that wish for yourself, that wish for others, and just allowing your breath to be a conduit or a vehicle for that wish. As we breathe in, expanding and opening our awareness for that wish for the world. As we exhale, softening and allowing that same wish to bathe our own body. And feel free to pause the video and stay here for longer if you're enjoying this. But if it feels like a good time to come back to the world outside of your body, I'll invite you to just find whatever little stretches feel good to you. Wiggling fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. If you are doing this legs up the chair practice, however, just be slow and mindful that you don't sit up too quickly. So I recommend taking your knees to your chest, gently rolling to one side and resting here. Usually at least 3 breaths, if not a little longer. And then as you're ready, you may make your way back to whatever seated position suits you. As we come back to seated, you can think about balancing your heart over your hips, your head over your heart, finding that nice little helium tall spine. I'll invite you to bring your hands together if you'd like in front of you. We can inhale together, letting the arms open outward, palms coming together above us. And as you exhale, maybe the thumbs come to your forehead, offering up peaceful thoughts. Maybe they come to your mouth, offering peaceful words. Perhaps they end at your heart for peaceful action. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone, for practicing with me today. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there live and in person, but hopefully this video brings you some happiness and healing and peace for you and for everyone you encounter. Take care.